Dear friends, Namaste. Today we will try to understand whether we can use thinking for a good society. The human thought process, can it brought about a good society, orderly society? So that is the question we will try to explore today. And if you see, it is helpful in some of the areas. Like suppose it has invented medicine. While inventing medicine or while constructing a building, the human thought process is helpful, right? And in day-to-day activities, right, it is very much helpful, right? Medicine or any other day-to-day activity, like when you want to do some work, plumbing work, whatever it is, right? Your livelihood, your job. So in all those areas, it is necessary. We can't deny that. But at the same time, it has the purpose of thought is limited to certain areas, right? You can't take it beyond that limited area, right? But unfortunately, without our knowing, or somehow it has crossed that border, and it has created the immense disorder in the society. See, we have seen where it is necessary, right? Suppose for livelihood, for any day-to-day activities, for everything it is helpful, right? So it appears like it is very much essential in life, right? Without thought, there is no existence. We feel, and the human mind can feel like that. It has taken such priority in our lives. The thought process which is with us, it has somehow it reached that position that I can't live without thinking. What happens if I can't think? So to that extent we reached, okay? But if you see the history or our present lives, if you see, there is an understanding for everyone, for you and me and for everyone, there is an understanding that it is also creating so much disorder in the society. It is very inept. It is very inept in some of the in some areas. It is not really useful. You will get that feeling, and I will get that feeling. And many of the times we want to try to get rid of overthinking, right? But unfortunately, we are not able to do that, because the day-to-day activity where we are using the instrument of thought, we brought up into our psychological field, right? And we are trying to apply that in our psychological field, and you want to bring a orderly state of mind, or peaceful state of mind, or happy state of mind. And we are failing miserably, and unfortunately we are unable to come out of it, right? And even I have talked to few people who are really suffering a lot because they are unable to cut their thoughts, right? They keep on thinking. In the nights they won't sleep deprivation, and even their body deteriorates because of thinking. I have seen many people who went into excessive overthinking, and they lose their energy. So to that extent it can damage the thought. Human thought can damage. And even if it is not that extensive, to some extent it is damaging each and every person. Each and every human being, it is creating disorder in his life, and that disorder is projected in the outer world. The disorder we see in the outside, that is the projection of our inner disorder, okay? And if we go more sensitively and see more thoroughly about thinking, see, as we have discussed in technological, in all the other areas, it is necessary to some extent. But see, in psychological field, where we are using it, where it is helping a human mind, right? See, thinking and the help that it is providing to human mind. Right? Thinking, thought process, we are trying to see where it is helping human mind, right? And if you see where it is helping, it helps you to be lazy. It helps the human mind to be lazy, right? It won't, see, if you think and think and think, you cannot act. So it helps in avoidance of action. To avoid the present, that is the action required in the present, thought tries to help. Thought helps you to avoid it, it postpones you. It helps you to postpone. The major contribution of thought process is to postpone the change required in the current moment to future, right? You can see in your life, when there is really a need to change, you apply thought, and after a few minutes you will end up that, okay, slowly I will change. So it keeps you in a process of evolution. Okay, so the body and everything that has evolved, that is a meaningful thing. But in the psychological field, change is never evolution. I think we have even discussed in our earlier videos. Change, the psychologically, if I want to change, it is never evolution. It is always revolution. Revolution in the sense, it doesn't involve time. See, when you see a snake or some dangerous animal in your near, if it is approaching you, you act instantly, right? You perceive and then you act. You don't think. See, in between, the thinking won't come. But in other, when you want to see, if you are addicted to alcohol, right, and if you want to leave that, and if you apply thought, it always like judges, like says it is right or it is wrong, but only in that game it keeps you. It never helps you to change. So if you want to change, if the human wants to bring a revolutionary change within itself, this is preventing, and it is helping you to be comfortable, and it keeps you in a comfort zone. Okay, but if you see more clearly, that the more you are in comfort zone, right, the more you are in comfort zone, slow underlying the suffering increases, right? You cannot act according to the present. You cannot stand up for the current moment, the present. It is always about postponing. If you employ this thinking, this is happening in us. And one more very important thing is, the moment you oppose thought, right? See, you have listened all these things, and the moment you oppose, you are giving energy to thinking. You see, so that's why in our earlier video also we have discussed that only way to diminish this thought process or to keep it in its right place is to witness it more and more. See, in witnessing, there is no effort and struggle. You are just being aware of, see, there is a thief and you are watching him silently, its activities, you are thoroughly examining. But there you can't be lazy. You cannot be cynical about that observation. You have to really do it. You have to make it as a fact in your life. That observation, that witnessing must be part of your life. It must be your day-to-day activity. It's not that you think, and if you apply thinking about that witness, right? What happens? It can deceive you. It gives you a feeling that you are witnessing, but you are not actually witnessing. You understand? So that is the problem with thinking. You see, you have seen the beauty of witness, right? And that is something you need to do. That activity you have to do. But as we are more and more inclined towards thinking, once you go to thinking, it gives you a feeling that you are witnessing. But actually you may not be doing that exercise, right? You are not really working hard to witness your thought process. But it can create a feeling that you are doing that. So that is the danger. So that is one thing. And if you see more thoroughly, it helps you in very, very crucial points from where the disorder of the society can come about, right? So human thinking, and the immense disorder that we are seeing in the society, they are very much connected. So this very thought, when it crosses its border and tries to make a prison for the mind, all this disorder in the society comes into being. And if you see what are the things that thought has done, it can divide people. It can divide, and from this division there is killing and authority, seeking authority over others through caste, right? Religious, whatever it is, religious guru, by becoming politician. The human beings who is seeking authority, right, over other people, he is a slave. He may think that I am becoming somebody. He may have farmhouses or whatever it is, right? If you don't have that simplicity in his mind, you may have or you may not have wealth. It's not the measure, but if you are seeking authority over other people, right, then you are a slave to thought process. You are under the control of your thought process. And as long as you are under the control of thought process, there is no real happiness, right? You may achieve many things in the outer world, but still a sense of lacking goes on, a sense of loneliness bothers you all the time when you are under the shadow of this dark nature of thought, right? See, if you see, it can divide. From this division, the killing, the wars, and the authority over others. So the extraordinary qualities that, see, on this earth, if you want to live in a secure and with immense beauty and happiness, the essential qualities for any human being is love and compassion. Love and compassion. Again we have defined that, again we have discussed that it is not what society says as love. Okay, when you deny that real love comes into being, that real love is power. That is real power. And all that energy, that all that beauty, this thought process, it denies that. When you are become a slave to this thought process, you can't enjoy those fruits, the real fruits of life, right? So so if you see, it can create ideologies, right? Ideologies. It can divide, from this division, wars, okay? And out of all this, there is a lack of sharing between human beings. So when the mind is completely controlled by this thought process, see, the more and more you think, the more and more selfish the human mind becomes. You see, the more and you are employing thought for your security, for your survival, the more you become self-centered. And the self-centeredness, it creates disorder in the society as well as in my life as well, in your life. If you're because the more you think, you can't be happy, you can't be joyful. You can't live with uncertainty. Life is uncertainty. You don't know about tomorrow. What life brings you tomorrow, you don't know, right? But still, if you employ thought for certainty, and if you want to live in that comfort zone, life has its ways to throw the uncertainty at your doorstep. You have to face it. So again, this thinking, this denies sharing, cooperation. Again, these things are not charity, right? Charity, why? Because see, people may go for charity because, see, suppose I am doing some charity, right? Why I am doing that is important. What is my motive? Is it like I'm doing charity like nature, or it is like I want to see my photo on the newspaper, or I want to move with people who are in top position? Through this is this charity a ladder to my success, or to fill my vanity? Okay, inside I am feeling vanity, like emptiness. To fill that, I go and help people, right? It is not the way nature helps you. It is fully abundant in itself. It is complete in itself. The tree is there, oxygen it releases. Whether you take it or not, it's up to us. It won't come and tell. The flower is there, the fragrance is there, right? They are always in a mode of giving, but at the same time they are not aware that they are giving. That is the real beauty of real help, actually. And even in real help, as we have discussed earlier, it's very important to make human being independent. If someone is dependent on you, right, you must help in a way that day by day he is becoming independent. Because the other person any human being can only be happy when he is independent. As long as he is dependent on you or me, there is a sense of insecurity, right? What happens if tomorrow he denies, right? It is always about suppose if I am dependent on you, I have to please you all the time. Because I am fearful, and I don't know how your mind changes tomorrow. So this is all burden to me as long as I am dependent. So real help is to make other person human being independent, right? Okay. So all that goodness is not possible when mind is fully occupied with thought process. And again, what it can produce is, we have seen divide, ideologies, wars, and it can produce immense fear The dark nature of fear is there always. The more you think, the more fear comes into being. The more you think about future, there is more fear. Okay, and it helps you to run after pleasure. So, you see, this is the point. If you observe where it is helping, right? See, there are two persons. One is criticizing you. One is criticizing you for your betterment out of love. Not to insult you, but out of love, he is criticizing you. He is telling you, here you must correct yourself. Because when you correct, you grow. That is his intention. But at the other end, the other person, he is always pleasing you. Like he is telling nice things about you. Even though there is something bad about you, he is telling nice things. Right? And that other person who is always trying to please you, who is always keeping you in a comfort zone, even though there are some mistakes in you, that is thought. Right? Now, see, who has to change? The thought won't change. Its nature is like that. It is you who has to understand who is benefit. What really benefits me? Is this criticism? Is this criticism or the support of the thought coming to me to be lazy, to run after pleasure, and to live in a comfort zone, right? It is helping me in that way. So is that really help from that thought? The help that is provided by thought, is that really help? So once you see that how it is helping you, right, to be more and more selfish, it is making you more and more selfish. In this perception, in this witnessing in a silent and effortless manner, in this witnessing, it drops away, right? Because earlier you want that, you are interested in that. It's not coming to you actually, you are interested in that. Because the laziness, the comfort, the postponement that it is the provided by thought, you are enjoying. So you are the problem. So now you have realized that how I am satisfied with verbalization, right? Sorry, how I am satisfied with other people's explanations, right? And how I am postponing the change that is required in the present moment, how I am postponing. If you see all that, how I am cynical in my thought process, if you see all that as a silent observer, then see, something you require, it is providing, right? Now you remove that requirement in yourself, you become more and more serious person. Learning, you are inclined towards learning, not towards pleasure, right? Once you are inclined towards learning, the thought it has lost its grip on you. See, before, the grip is you want pleasure, you want comfort, you don't want to change, right? And that is the grip for the thought. Now you have silently observed that all these years I am using it, but where I am, you have questioned. And silently, that requirement you have removed, the requirement for postponement, the comfort, the laziness, right? All that is unnecessary, you felt, and you removed that requirement, right? Then the supplier, it can't sustain, right? The supplier can sustain as long as there is requirement in you. But once you silently observe all these things, you remove that requirement and you incline towards learning, right? In becoming a light to yourself, right? See, earlier this is required. You have seen all the disorder in what happens if I postpone and if I always see, you can act only in the present, right? But when you employ thought, it is always about future or past. So in this, so the real work, it is dependent on you, not on thought. It is like that. If you keep the requirement, it's supply, right? But it is, what it is supplying is like unhealthy food, not organic and healthy food. What it is supplying to you is destroying you. Not only you, and through you, it is destroying the society. So, you see, this perception, what really saves human being is perception, perceiving all these things silently, witnessing this, all this, your inclination towards pleasure, your inclination towards dividing with other people, your inclination towards fear, your inclination towards authority over other people. See, if you see all those inclinations, they will drop off. Once they drop off, this withers away. This thought process withers away. You see, you are not directly acting upon it. You are acting upon it so that it is no more, it cannot catch hold on you. Before, there are some holes to the wall where it can hold, where it can cling and it can strongly hold. And one day you softened it. You remove those holes and you fill those holes and make it smooth. It cannot hold it anymore. So it is really you have to change the inclinations towards what you are inclined to, towards pleasure or towards learning. If you are inclined towards learning, it cannot trouble you. The thought process, it cannot trouble you as it is troubling us today. Okay? Yeah. So, as I always say, don't get satisfied with my explanations or these videos. Please try to go beyond my whatever explained or whatever you have seen. It is always important to turn whatever knowledge coming from outside into wisdom. Wisdom in the sense, it should be your own perception. Go for that. For that, you have to exercise, you have to witness, you have to really do it in your life. Okay? And again, in my earlier video, I have told you about the change for catalyst for change. That in that video, I have explained you how conflict is very dangerous in life. When you want to change, so all this process has to happen without conflict. Okay? All my other videos, any video, any knowledge, please take the journey without conflict. Take the journey joyfully, with happiness. Then only some real change can come into our being. But unfortunately, in exams and everything, in outer world, we prepare to solve the problems and get over them and struggle and effort. We are trained, our brains are trained in that way. That way will not work in the psychological field. Here, in the first step itself, you must be relaxed and happy. And then you have to take the journey. It's not that you struggle and you be more painful and then you will achieve some result. Okay? Okay. Please give thought on in these things, and this is the essential point of my videos. So it's finally to be a light to yourself. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video.